Hello, everyone. Welcome to Thought Leadership Thursday. Today, I have a really good surprise for you. I have someone who is specialized in the CBD industry, and she's going to introduce to us her company and what she does. Welcome, Collette. Here she is. Welcome, Collette. I got you on now.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. As the VP of Global Marketing for Lane and HempRise, what do you do?
Well, I'm responsible globally, not only for HempRise, which specializes in CBD and I'll say hemp extract. We'll talk a little bit more about the difference of that, ingredients and solutions, but I also have responsibility for Lane Natural Ingredients. So Lane Natural Ingredients is the biggest producer of natural sweeteners like monk fruit and stevia in the world. So we serve very, very large brands and have a full portfolio of botanicals there. And we've launched HempRise to leverage our extraction expertise. So my job is to let everybody know how hemp extracts and CBD can help.
So let me get this right. So hemp products, sweeteners, do you also do the edibles like THC and things like that?
We don't. So we specialize in all kinds of
on the CBD side.
Yeah, it's a great question. Yeah, all kinds of botanicals, rosemary, pomegranate, that's on the Lane side. And then on the HempRise side, anything and everything to do with hemp extracts. So less than 0.3% THC.
So is it right to say that you are a thought leader in hemp products?
Absolutely.
Okay. Is that what you're going to be like to be known for?
Oh gosh, if I look at HempRise would like to be known for innovating ingredients that help people. And I'll take it further, pets, animals, and the planet, because hemp is sustainable. It has with deregulation, the door's been opened. People understand there are therapeutic benefits, and deregulation's opened that door now for us to innovate, being able to put hemp extract ingredients into all kinds of consumption formats.
That's awesome. How have you been navigating and innovating through this pandemic?
Yeah, some of our focus hasn't really changed because, you know, the needs of people through the pandemic are consistent with our vision and our mission. So the pandemic has brought increasing concerns about health and well-being. It's brought in particular concerns about mental health and stress. And, you know, we've been, with our vision and what hemp extracts bring to the world, have been innovating and pushing hard exactly on those lines, you know, building our facility, building our innovation, and really looking at increasing ways that we can bring those in different delivery formats. So here we are today talking about the amazing world of baking, which is a really big sector for the
right. So do you advise for bakery companies through these times?
I would say to keep innovating. Right now, CBD and hemp extracts that contain CBD, they're ripe for what the consumer needs in these days. And what I've found is a lot of companies have cleaved to their core portfolios, and they need to make sure they're continuing to innovate. You know, COVID took us all for a loop. Consumers were pantry hoarding, and but that would be my biggest thing, is to keep innovating, and specifically with CBD and hemp extracts, think about brand extensions. Not everybody wants CBD or hemp extracts, but it's the perfect time to innovate with those ingredients and think about brand extensions, because the market is continuing to deregulate, and you've got a lot of first movers right now, smaller, nimble companies trying to grab up that market share in that space. But the big companies should not stop innovating and waiting for the deregulation.
Oh my goodness, you like hit the nail on the head on that one.
That's a big one.
I see that happening exactly the way you said it. So for our viewers, can you tell me just a brief sort of synopsis of CBD and hemp extracts, and what they do and don't do, and what the Farm Bill is in the US?
Yeah, let me start with the Farm Bill of 2018. What that did is it allowed hemp derivatives, so we're talking about industrial hemp, to no longer be classified as a controlled substance. And that opened up the American farming market. So farmers could produce hemp. And along with it, hemp is very high in CBD, and it's very low in THC. So THC is the psychoactive component. And that's the part that I think causes the most concern in the regulatory environment.
Yeah.
So the Farm Bill said, as long as you're less than 0.3% THC, you can grow it and you can bring it to market, but you can only bring it to market as a topical. It is a regulated drug, CBD in and of itself is. So we're all kind of waiting for more deregulation. Why are we waiting for it, and why are we now finally allowed to grow it, and why is there so much interest? Because the consumers know. They know that it has therapeutic benefits. We're not allowed to make those claims. You can only do that when that's a classified drug and you have supported claims. But it is well researched and well known to aid in sleep, to aid in stress and anxiety reduction, to help mood, to provide support for your inflammatory system, and for immune support. So we're all looking for more science and more deregulation, so we can provide this critical ingredient in more consumption formats.
Yeah, I can feel it in my bones. It's coming.
It's coming.
So, it's coming. And in regards to the United States, how do you foresee the current administration impacting the current Farm Bill regulations on CBD and hemp extracts?
Yeah. The USDA just had released kind of some, I would say it was a little bit of mixed outcome, but in general, I saw it as favorable, because prior, if a farmer was growing a crop and it tested at over that 0.3% THC, they had to destroy the entire crop. So we already saw a little bit of help there, that now the farmer doesn't have to destroy the whole crop. Now what we're all waiting for is this ruling on CBD or hemp extracts, which include more than CBD, includes those minor cannabinoids. And I think the Biden administration, because they're more friendly for a possible bill for marijuana reform, to allow it for medical use, and also decriminalize cannabis use, I think that we will see some positive outcomes for CBD too.
So let me just ask a question. Does that mean that if a baker uses product in their baked goods, I mean, will they be fined for selling that?
Yeah. So technically, yeah. Well, sorry. Yes, I understand the question.
Yeah, so it has to be only in dispensaries, right? I mean, it can only be sold in dispensaries. Is that correct?
Yeah, so cannabis is different than industrial hemp. And you'll see cannabis in mostly vape and kind of tincture form. To put CBD into any ingestible, including, a supplement like a tablet or a soft gel, or baked goods and edibles like we're talking here, or a beverage, is currently not allowed by the FDA. What they have now historically done at the end of 2020, they sent out some warning letters, but those letters were mostly sent to companies that were making exerted claims, or even, I should say, unsubstantiated claims. All claims
I see those. Okay. All right.
Yeah, are not allowed. So you see these products certainly in stores, and that is that first mover piece I was talking about. The smaller, nimble brands that are not tied, to all the capital and big structure of a very big brand.
The ones that are willing to take the risk.
They want in. So
they want in.
Yeah, you're seeing that first mover advantage. And, certainly we're working with very, very large, household brand names, because everybody's interested in, innovating and also being there when the market's clear.
Yeah. Yeah. I will have lots of offline conversations with you on that as well. A lot of interesting things that I've seen. So what kind of impact, if any, has the pandemic have on the production of your extracts?
Yeah.
Has there been a huge effect?
Overall, CBD and hemp extracts are in continued high demand and growing. The growth rate has
the farming part, like supply. I'm afraid of supply chain issues,
That is a great point. There's a lot of supply chain issues. Some of those, I think, inherent in what you'll see in any emerging market. It's got to come back into rebalance, and you've got, some bad players out there that, make things a little bit more difficult. Yeah. Specific to the pandemic, we're seeing consumer demand is continuing to grow. It's growing at a slightly slower rate, but that's because it was just like, vertical rocket style growth before. It's still growing. But I would say the biggest thing is the pandemics has seemed to just maybe bog down the regulatory process. And that's unfortunate, because with the pandemic, mental health is at, it's reaching its breaking point. And this is something that really could help bring relief.
I totally agree. Totally agree. So what is the myth or assumption that you would most like to bust about CBD and hemp extracts?
So I hear the word myth and assumption, and I'm like, there's just so many. I'm
sorry to put you through this, but we need to go through these things, man. I've gotten so many questions on those things, and I'm like, well, you know what? That's why I'm bringing on Collette, right? We need to talk about these things. So feel free. You have my airtime.
Oh, yay. Okay. There's a lot of misinformation out there. Some of it started with stigma. So I guess the first thing I'd like to dispel is that hemp is different from marijuana. I mentioned THC and the psychoactive component, where that, makes consumers, the mainstream consumer, nervous. Hemp and CBD in the context of industrial hemp is controlled to be less than 0.3% THC. So that's the first thing. I'd like to take the stigma away. This does not get you high. It does not make you stoned. It is not psychoactive. And
it does not have the hangover effect.
No, it's not.
So many people are afraid of that.
Correct. It's not addictive. It doesn't have hangover effects. Everybody responds maybe a little bit differently to their own experience. But even me, before I was in this world and, looking at working with a company that does hemp extracts, I had to do my own research, and it's not salacious. It's not like that at all, because we're talking about CBD and hemp extracts that don't have high levels of THC. And in some cases, we remediate out the THC to be, people market it as zero. It's never zero, but it's non-detectable THC.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's kind of the first thing. I would like to say another one, especially for baking. I see a lot of misinformation and attempts at not really serving the consumer well by trying to market hemp oil or hemp seed oil. Now, those are different products, and they're well and good on their own, but sometimes they're marketed in kind of a cloudy way to look as if they might be CBD, and they're not. So if it says hemp oil or hemp seed oil, almost always that's referring to oil that's extracted from hemp seeds. There's no CBD. So CBD is that liquid gold, and I say the minor cannabinoids. There's others besides CBD. There's CBN, CBG. Those are the ones that are that liquid gold that we're after for benefit. Those are the ones you should be, wanting to make sure you're getting what you pay for. And that needs to be CBD oil, it's called sometimes, or hemp extracts is really, I think, a better name when we're talking about the other cannabinoids. Mm-hmm. And that is extracted from the hemp flower and the leaves traditionally. So not from the hemp seeds. So hemp seed oil, hemp oil is not CBD oil or hemp extract oil. The latter two are the most valuable.
Got it. That's full education there altogether. Would you mind repeating that in our seminar next week?
Oh, I would love to, because I think it's super important the consumer gets what they pay for. Right.
And we are going to have a BAKERview CBD oil in baking class next week, folks. So sign up at our academy. The webinar is free. Ask Collette all the questions during the class. I'm just going to present the technical baking side of things.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, me too. What consideration does a baker need to keep in mind in selecting CBD or hemp extract? I think, let's just summarize that, because we're going to go more into it in the webinar next week.
Yeah. There's several things. I mean, just in terms of general kind of tips for, including this into baking, taste, it can affect taste. So there could be some bitter notes, and there's lots of ways with flavors and in industrial settings, masking, or commercial settings. It can affect taste. There's heat, certainly can be something to think about as well, because it can break down the active components. I would say one of the most important things is that you're really careful about where you get your CBD oil or your hemp extracts. And if you're, a brand that is, really looking to bring this to market, you need a quality supplier. You need to make sure that they have all the quality signals and paperwork. So are they CGMP? Can they produce proper certificates of analysis? Yep. Can they offer you organic? You need to make sure that they're on solid ground. There's a lot of companies in our industry going upside down. So you need to make sure your supplier is well capitalized.
They don't know what they're doing.
They don't know what they're doing. Yeah.
I know what you're doing when you sent this to me. Do you remember this?
Hey.
I unboxed it yesterday live on Wisdom Wednesday. Look at that. Look at that packaging. It's double packed. By the way, I want to tell you, I tried this last night and I spent about 10 minutes trying to open this.
Oh,
this is so childproof. Even I can't open it.
yeah, we don't want air in there. We want it staying nice and tight and secure.
Yes. Love the branding. Most importantly, when you send this, so professional, right? Yeah. It's got all the information here, and look at this tax sheet. Yeah. This is what I expect from professional suppliers: tax sheets, certificates of analysis. Okay, so if you are interested in getting this particular sample package from HempRise, go to the CBD oil page on BAKERpedia and request sample today. All right. Let me share my experience of your product, because I did try it last night because I wanted to give you my feedback.
Great. I want to hear it.
Yeah, so I did do a half a drop of rule, which is, less than a half. So I measured out 0.4 mils, and that's about 100 milligram. And to me, anything less than 100 milligram, correct me if I'm wrong, is microdosing. I don't know. I tried 25 milligrams, THC CBD before, and that's too much for me, right? So I tried 100 milligrams of this, and it helped with sleep, and it helped with ache because I have a wrist problem. I work too much with this hand. I need to stop working with this hand. I can't be a left-hander though, but it did relieve some of the aches in the hand. But I don't think it's strong enough for me to get the effect. So what I'm going to do tonight is try to increase that up to 250. Is there a dosage that you see that people use in terms of this hemp extract oil?
Yep, I'm really glad that you asked that question. Certainly in any setting, and especially in baking, I would encourage that you experiment with different levels, working up to higher dosing. What's emerging right now is kind of, a balancing toward 25 milligrams and being the recommended dose. Yeah, so a dropper full of that particular tincture bottle or sample bottle is 250 milligrams in the dropper. So you can.
I'm going to try to see if it really helps with my wrist, because my wrist keeps me up at night.
No.
Yeah, and it's one of the things where I've tried everything. I've tried painkillers, I've tried sleeping aids and things like that. So I'm just gonna give it a try this weekend and let you know next week how it goes.
I would love to hear that.
If it is already at 100 milligrams, 4 times the dose of what you recommended, I did not have any side effects this morning. I didn't have a hangover. I didn't have a hard time getting up. So. Again, like what you said, this is more of an individual effect. I'm not going to say that this is going to happen to you or anyone out there. Everybody have a different metabolic rate or metabolically how they process this, so you just have to give it a try yourself, and understand how to really use this. This interview really, really piqued my interest into using this in frostings and fillings, really, more than in the actual baked product itself. Because if you're gonna bake this out, then you pretty much wasting your money in the oven. So I would suggest to bakers to think about putting in the fillings like a Twinkie, a snack cake, a frosting, a cupcake, kind of thing. To experiment with it, So yeah, that's what I wanted to say. I didn't want to interrupt you, but I want to give you my feedback on this product. And there is a lot of hope, and I can see a lot of growth in your company. So congratulations.
We're excited.
There.
Yeah, we're excited. And I love that you said fillings and frostings. We think that's an ideal use for this. And, dipping oils and butters, accompaniments like that. Those are all areas we're exploring, in addition to water solubility applications. And, we're certainly exploring a lot with, snacked and baked goods too, even in terms of withstanding temperature, because the consumer wants it. The consumer wants a consumption format that they're familiar with, and they want one on the go. And I'm excited about all to come, because I really think it can bring people a lot of natural relief, and that's what we're talking about. We're talking about it's an all natural ingredient.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited. I think we've seen one lead come through from yesterday, so people are really looking into this. Good luck, Collette. Before I leave, before we, conclude this session, I always love to ask my guests, do you have any leadership skills to share? Leadership tips?
Yeah, this is funny. It's I use this in almost every dimension of my life. When I look at just marketing, it's important that you have the voice of the customer and that you really understand your customer, because you're trying to solve a challenge or solve a problem. And I used to think of it just that way, limited to that way, kind of, the voice of the customer. What did they say? What do they want? How do we help? And in my style, and I think maybe even this has been shaped being a parent even ever more, it really comes down to really having an empathy and really being able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. So when I look at marketing and taking it back, that voice of the customer, to empathy, I think that's how we really need to be with each other in business and in leadership. Is, the job is really to empower those around you, whether they're, a lateral colleague, a colleague, at a different hierarchical level in the corporate structure. Doesn't matter. I think just to come at it from a place of empathy it yields a lot of benefits.
I totally agree. Right. You're the first one that's pointed at empathy so far in my series. Yeah. Congrats. That's tough to do. It's tough to do, It is. All right. So I would like to end this session by inviting all of you out there to go to our CBD page on BAKERpedia and read more on CBD. And if you need a sample, just fill out the form there, and Colette's company and team will send you a sample in the mail. Down to spec sheets. We need spec sheets.
We've got them.
And if you are interested in learning more, sign up for the BAKERview seminar next week. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Collette.
Thank you so much.
See you soon.